Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm hoping you guys are having a fantastic day. So today's upload is going to be a video about the long range outlook and I will be trying to basically talk about the long range pattern and how it will be affecting everyone and trying to give you the best information like I usually try to do, but may not always plan out that way. Hopefully you enjoyed my previous video I made. It was about the Northeast, and this video is actually getting recorded at 9:06 p.m. In the evening. So this is pre-recorded, even though this is getting uploaded tomorrow. It's a long range, so it won't really matter that much, like a couple of hours of difference. Well, it's like 12 hours really. 1 or 2 mile runs will come through, but mainly the things that I want to talk about most likely won't change, as they haven't for the past 6-7 model runs. So consider subscribing, guys. Consider liking this video, and I really would like to see some comments. And I know I always say this, and I may not reply to them, but again, I read all of them, and so thank you for those that leave those comments. And let's get into this video. So right now we're looking at the GFS model global forecasting system, and you can see that we have a high pressure coming down from the north, and this is out ahead of a system that actually brings you can see quite a bit of rain to the Midwest tomorrow. Not terribly too heavy, but it kind of really intensifies itself once it really reaches into parts of the Northeast. You can see it kind of connects. It doesn't really seem like it will, but you can see the cold front kind of mixes in with the warm front of this system, and they just combine into a very strong nor'easter. So that is this video maybe not be just about the long range, just a weather update. So let's just look at the precipitation, shall we, about this nor'easter. I want to show you how much possible rain is with this. It's pretty significant. So let's go to regions. Let's go to the Northeast United States, and we look at this and we see up to an inch and a half to 2 inches of rain. Definitely a possibility. I think in some locations it could even be more rain. There are some locations that could definitely pick up around 3 to 5 inches of rain. The flooding potential is pretty high. It seems like the winds may not be awfully bad, but definitely still strong. I mean, it's a nor'easter, so it's, or at least a hybrid of a nor'easter. So the winds are definitely going to be present. You can see right there at hours 66 and 60, we see 36 to 48 miles per hour. We see the winds. Increasing to about. Getting a little lost here. At hour 66, we see the winds at around, maybe topping out around 48 knots off the coast, and this is in knots, so probably in terms of wind miles per hour, this would be maybe close to 60 or 70 sustained, but that's off the coast. If you were to go on land, you could see they're quite a bit less, but they're still definitely there. But it's mainly the rain with this one. The total accumulated precip you could see is several inches, anywhere ranging from 1 inch to 3.5 inches. Really is pretty widespread. So I think the GFS will be underestimating it, but that's just a GFS for you. So let's look further and see what's going on. So let's just switch back to the MSLP and precip and quickly take a look at this. So we're at hour 126 now. This is where things really get interesting, so we get a area, or a period I should rather say, of quieter conditions, kind of almost warm conditions. You can see there's a ridge, very clearly defined. There's a high pressure which is really in charge of this ridge, and then there's a couple of cold fronts that want to make their way down into the southern U.S. However, they don't really have success with that, and you can see that this green air mass really tries. This warm air mass really triggers this low pressure to start erupting. So this initially comes off the Pacific Ocean. Not very clear where it exactly comes from. It kind of just originates off the Colorado Rockies, and you can see right there it just erupts, and a lot of green precipitation is all over the place. Yellow colors, green colors, and that just sends a lot of moisture up into a lot of moisture and a lot of rain into the Midwest and into the southern plains. So this is kind of like that first wave. This is the second wave. You can see very intense, maybe some snow on the backside. According to this model, mainly reserved to the Canadian side of the weather situation. But then that brings a pretty big chill with it. Maybe not too substantial, as this next storm that comes along here brings pretty significant cool down without being as strong as the second one. You can see here's like that main big one, 990, and this one doesn't really bring too much of a cool off because of the second one that brings a warm up right after it. But then after that one, it's actually a pretty significant cool down. You can see possibly 32-degree freezing line, so like frosts for Arkansas, Tennessee, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia possibly, and a little bit of snow on the backside affecting parts of the United States this time. And again, very heavy rain for the Northeast, and then it kind of flattens out, but doesn't really turn into a ridge. It's still like a trough, and this maintains itself for quite a while. So basically, it seems as if cool conditions for the next couple of days, especially across the Midwest and East, especially after that nor'easter passes through. Some cooler conditions, some frost and freeze is definitely a possibility. However, later on, it seems as if things will start to warm up a little bit. Let me show you some of the 2-meter temperature anomalies. They basically, yeah, there we go, right here. 0 right there. Let's look at this. So some chill you could see remaining after that big initial one over the weekend. Then we see a little bit of warmth out ahead of that main nor'easter system, but then right behind it we see another cool off. Then we see just a little bit of warmth that's more substantial coming to the U.S. You could see across much of the eastern U.S. The West at this point cools off because that's where the trough is following that big storm that's just about to begin across the east. And you can see right there the storm is occurring, and you could tell because of that cold front right there. Very warm conditions, very cold right there, and this really kind of regulates itself, but mainly driven by the force of the storm. And then this passes through. You could see wait, I'm getting confused here for a second myself. Yes, okay, so this is the storm, and remember that this big storm did not leave too much cold air behind it because of the second one that comes in right behind it and warms things up behind that one. It seems like quite a bit of cold will come through. You could see right there, -12 to -20 Celsius degrees below average, and reaching all the way down to the Gulf Coast. This is still very far out, but I'm telling you, the models have been pretty darn consistent with this. So this is definitely a thing of something to stay. Definitely has potential in terms of actually occurring. And then we have that just that broad troughing across the northern U.S. So basically, it's, you saw your area. You could rewatch that a little bit slower. I'll just play it through one more time, and you could check out your area again. Wherever it is below average, blue colors, it is below average. Wherever it is warm colors, it is above average. And you can look at your area. This is the time frame is right up here. It's a little bit fast, I know, but I don't really know how I can make it slower. But you could see, just find your area. Live in the Northeast, you could see a little bit of cool behind that first system. Then that second system just absolutely brings very chilly conditions to the U.S., while the West remains a little bit warmer. And hopefully this, helps you plan out what's to come, because I can't really hit every location at once. And now this is going into the negative, so this is what occurred already. And now it's at hour 0, so we're looking at the present. And you can see there's quite a bit of cooling mixed in with some warming, but mainly the cooling after that big storm. If you look at the 6 to 10 day outlook, they have that warm across the east, and that's because this time frame is right between that big storm where it's going to occur next weekend, and that could really bring warm conditions up into the U.S. The dew points could be high, humidity could be high, and the precipitation may be very high as well, as this storm has a lot to work with. But then right behind it, equally, it's almost like equilibrium right there. It heats up, things really much. The cold kind of falls right behind it, and we often see that during the winter and fall months. And look at that. Look at the precip. It's insanely above average. So if you live in Maryland, West Virginia, I've seen a lot of people talking about the drought that they've been having. It seems like a good portion of the of your area that has been in dry conditions will be seeing above 50% chance of being above average, which may not seem like a lot. It's actually pretty significant. And if you take a quick glance at the 8 to 14 day outlook, notice how it's actually the blue kind of spreads into the central part of the United States, with the warmth getting pushed towards the coast of the East Coast and really the West Coast. But this is, maybe wondering why it's less bright, or why is it, duller blue colors. It's because they have less confidence. This isn't like the magnitude of the cold. This is just like the confidence they have in the cold, which in this case would be 40%, which is not too, not too high. Usually, if it's 40% for like precip, yeah, that's pretty high. But for temperatures, that's not really too high. As precipitation is much harder to predict. So that's kind of like a little thing I wanted to include. And you can see precipitation probability for the 8 to 14 day outlook still very moist across the east. So you'll definitely probably make up those those deficits that you've been seeing and witnessing for the past several months. So I know I've been getting a lot of comments from that, and I feel you guys, and I've decided to address it in this video. So this is the GEFS ensembles. It's a bunch of GFS like models, and they're combined together, and you can see they form a bunch of they're basically a bunch of models. You can see they're showing similar thing: a cool off, then a little bit warmer up in front of that big storm, and then that pretty large cool off right behind it. And you can see the GEFS models want to maintain that for quite a while. So thank you guys so much for watching. Consider liking the video, consider subscribing to the channel. I'll catch you all guys in the next episode. See ya. Bye.